Title of this show has a double meaning, and I'm going to explain all of that and more. We're going to go no intro today, just go right into the show. I'm hoping that this show will be less than 10 minutes, so don't really have too much to say other than the fact that I apologize. I apologize for not getting a show out on time where I've been doing pretty good for a while, so it was upsetting not to hit my mark. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let me just explain what happened. My beautiful MacBook Pro that I used to edit, put all these shows together, woke up, tried to use it, and just died. Literally just died. No explanation, just dead. With that being said, having recorded a pretty large show with my friend Vinny, I was unable to edit that pretty large show. That's going to take me some time. I'm guessing by the looks of things, that show will be coming out later next week, just so that I can get back into the groove. And I also recorded another show, and that is with Jackson Lawmeyer. If you are looking forward to the show, I really apologize. And other than that, both shows are going to be really, really good. So highly suggest you go and look at those. They were fun. It's just unfortunate, and I do apologize again for not being able to get those shows out on time, but there were some circumstances that I couldn't fully control. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. I hope you guys still enjoy the show, and I love you guys for sticking through it with me. Now, the reason for the double meaning here is we had a pretty shitty situation come out from the White House and come out from our own government over the past couple days, and I actually felt wrong not putting a show out on it. So I'm going to throw this one together. It should be out on Friday. I'm aware that people might not want to watch it, and that's okay. Totally aware that this stuff needs to come out in a show, and I'll probably go a little bit further into detail. However, earlier this year, I made a show about just the proclivity of child predators that are either in the government, in high positions of power, and you can go check that out. Try to put a link in the description if I can find the exact show that it was, given as though I lost a bunch of stuff with this computer thing. But recently, I want to say it was 2 or 3 days ago at this point, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, came out and said that the case is closed on Epstein. Now, why is this an abject failure? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. This was a core campaign promise on behalf of President Trump. I believe we already talked about the absolute failure of the document drop on both JFK and JFK assassination, I should say, and this incident when it comes to Epstein. Full transparency is what was told to us on the campaign trail, and Pam Bondi came out, said the case is closed. There is no client list, after already mentioning that she had a client list for review on her desk. So at the end of the day, I think it's very important for us as the voting bloc, the citizenry of the United States, to recognize that it does not matter who is your politician, who your favorite is, who you really want to vote. There is no person that's going to run for office that's not going to lie to you in some capacity or another. They're going to say what they need to get into office. They're not going to necessarily say what they are absolutely going to do. Now, there is a stark contrast in Donald Trump's two presidencies, especially so far. Now, granted, we are very, very early, but if you call back to the first term, many of the campaign promises, maybe beside drain the swamp, were carried out, followed through on many of the promises, and this time around, quite different. Whether you're talking about the promise of getting us out of or ending the wars around the world, whether you're talking about Ukraine, what's going on in Israel, that has been an utter disaster. But the war in Ukraine is now going to be further funded by our government after that massive showing of a on TV interview, I guess, on TV session, struggle session maybe, with Zelensky, Trump, and JD Vance, Marco Rubio in the cuck chair. That's just a failure. Israel has not stopped its war on Gaza. That's a failure. The United States actually got into war with Iran. Granted, that seems to have not blown up in our face too badly. I'm still not a fan of it, and so if anything, we've added wars. Donald Trump is now a wartime president. Total failure. Whether you're talking about the deportations and the work on immigration, I would say it's pretty safe to say that it's chalked up as a failure. Now, one can caveat, and I would decide to agree with this statement that President Trump has cut down significantly on the new entries, at least it seems based on the numbers, but deportations are not happening at the rate that was said. And if anything, they are extremely inconsistent. There doesn't seem to be a followed rule set, and it's kind of just shotgun blasted into areas that maybe President Trump, maybe someone in his ear is just saying, oh, we'll go after this guy, we'll go after that guy. Deportations have definitely slowed down. action on the immigration side has definitely slowed down. And you got to be honest, this is something that John and I talked about before he even got into office, that you have to focus. If you're President Trump, you would think you have to focus, like he said on the campaign trail, on the criminals. And obviously, crossing the border is a criminal act, but people who have committed further crimes while in the country, because we have so many illegal immigrants or not fully documented immigrants that we rely on for industries like construction, agriculture, and many other just very labor intensive industries, factories even. And if you undercut that, you undercut the production in the United States. You undercut the ability of the United States to feed itself and the world with all of our programs. We stop a lot of construction from happening. So at the end of the day, you run into some pretty serious logistical issues very quickly. And so it's understood. And again, this is something that I thought you had to get out in front of. And I was pretty vocal about the fact that this could have some real detrimental effects to the United States and its economy. And it seems like Trump just took a while to catch up. Or he was just using the promise to get you to vote. Either way. And now, when it comes down to this most recent thing of what's gone on with Epstein, the files being not released, that giant show they did a couple months back where all these journalists got these pamphlets of we got the Epstein files and it was all a bunch of shit that was already out there, totally redacted. Or you talk about what happened the other day with Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, which I talked about on the show before. Whatever incident you want to talk about when it comes to this Epstein thing, at the end of the day, what you have to understand, what my friends who are Trump supporters still to this day, hardcore Trump supporters need to understand, is that it is not just Pam Bondi. It is not just Cash Patel. It is not Dan Bongino. The leadership comes from the top, especially on things like this. Yes, you can say that it is not President Trump's job directly to oversee a case and to prosecute it, but he does give the direction. And if there's an outcome that he does not like, if there's something that is going to harm him either directly or indirectly, he has the ability to tell people what to do and what to say, and then they need to eat the shit when they are a public figure. And I think you definitely saw that in the interview. I don't think it's the right word. It's a little bit of a conference where Pam Bondi and Donald Trump were on the same panel. And Pam Bondi is trying to defend this and Trump the decision. And Trump steps in and says, paraphrasing here, you can go look up the clip, make sure that I'm somewhat accurate here, but he says something to the effect of, this Epstein thing, I can't believe you guys are still on this. He's been dead for years. Well, number one, it was a main campaign promise of yours. Number two, so much of your movement has been about getting the corruption out of the government, and now you are the corruption. You are part of the cover-up of Epstein. To tell us, as the American people, that there is no client list. In a way, no shit. He doesn't just have a list with every single person's name on it. But there is a list of people who would be implicated by Jeffrey Epstein and his doings. Are we being for real? Are we totally being honest with his number one helper, his helping hand, his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, being in jail for no crimes, for no clients? Let's be totally, totally honest here. It does not make any sense. So when it comes down to it, this is an abject failure. A failure of leadership, failure of Donald Trump. It is not just Pam Bondi. It is not Dan Bongino. It is not Kash Patel. It is a failure of Donald Trump and his lack of leadership on this issue. Now, you can come up with many different scenarios, especially because they're not being transparent on this like they said they would be on the campaign trail. You could either hint at the fact that Donald Trump himself is implicated, which is very possible. There's many times documenting that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were in the same room together. You all see the pictures of the parties, all this stuff, and that's true. Now, whether there's direct evidence to link Donald Trump to any of the abhorrent actions that happened allegedly under Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell or Bolt's tutelage, that's yet to be seen. But you never know that this document may have proved that. You could also say that maybe Trump is not necessarily running this show right now. If he was being so vocal about transparency and the transparency just does not happen, there's a very good chance that he's being told what to do by someone else who has the power and not himself. That would be very, very important to know. And you could also run with a very different sideline, which is so many people would be implicated that he would be in trouble on the other end. Okay, so maybe he does have the lever of powers, but maybe someone else who does not want something to happen to them or to others is hinting at the fact that this could be detrimental to the campaign and the administration's success going forward. All of these may be true. Some of them may be true. They all may not be true. But the biggest problem here is that the transparency does not exist from the Trump administration. And I think if you look over the past month, big, beautiful bill, the wars, the immigration, and now this Epstein stuff, it's starting to become quite a disappointment in what Trump has done in office. And I have no problem admitting it. I hope that if you were a Trump supporter or you are a Trump supporter, you have the ability to admit when the person that you support is wrong. The biggest thing when you're talking about a good leader is to admit when they are wrong. Donald Trump will never do so. So it's just a matter of, does he course correct? I don't think it's going to happen. My guess is that there are many people, as we talked about on the show with Jeffrey Epstein, there are many people that we don't even know the names and they're so powerful that are tied up in this, is my guess. And you can't really step on those toes if you want to either stay alive or be able to do anything, whether it's talking about working with Congress, signing bills into law, having someone to execute the laws that you're signing. I think that we have a big issue here. It doesn't really matter. Again, we are only about 6 months into the Trump presidency. We got a long way to go. And unfortunately, it looks like we only have down to go from here. That's all I got for you today. Again, I really apologize for the show, but we do have a little bit of a schedule here. So if you made it this far, Jackson Lawmeyer, you're going to be up on Monday. Vince Sugarly, I'm sorry you're getting pushed off, but I got a hell of editing to do for that. I'll try to get that out by the end of next week for the show, and that way we can get back onto the regular schedule of a show every Monday. Oh, anything else that I need to say here? I'm your host, Sal Asante. It was wonderful having you. This is the We the Patriots podcast, and I will see you guys on Monday. Peace out.